Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited. California skydiving bill becomes law. Santa Monica notifies residents of airport work. Army Black Hawk helicopter struck by drone. Hello, I'm Laura Hudson. It's September 27th, and this is Airborne Unlimited. California Governor Jerry Brown has signed a bill which passed unanimously in both houses of the state legislature that will hold skydiving companies liable for injuries or deaths if they use uncertified instructors to lead tandem jumps. The legislation was proposed by Assemblywoman Susan Talamantes Eggman after an accident at the Lodi Skydiving Center in August of last year, in which an 18-year-old student and 25-year-old instructor were both fatally injured after a parachute malfunction. The instructor, Yong Kwon, was not certified by the USPA according to a review of the accident. The bill allows those injured or their families or estates, if they are fatally injured, to sue skydiving companies if their instructors or employees who pack parachutes do not meet federal standards. The USPA was opposed to the measure, but reportedly did not press their case very vigorously. They said that the law was duplicative of federal law and potentially unenforceable. The bill gives the California Department of Transportation authority to levy penalties in skydiving accidents. The FAA did not sanction Lodi Parachute Center for the accident because Kwon had represented himself as being certified when he applied for the job. Discrepancies in his paperwork were later discovered. The city of Santa Monica has officially notified residents, businesses near Santa Monica Airport, as well as airport users of plans to start shortening the airport's only runway from 4,973 feet to 3,500 feet in accordance with a controversial agreement struck between the FAA and the city late last year. Nelson Hernandez, Senior Advisor City Manager of Airport Affairs, said that the project to shorten the runway will begin on October 9th and continue through December 30th. The second phase begins December 20th and will require closing the airport for 10 days. The airport is set to reopen December 30th. Hernandez inaccurately opines that the benefits to the community from the project will be a 44% reduction in jet traffic, reducing noise and pollution, and improving the quality of life and air quality for nearby residents and businesses. The city says that it will also bring the runway into compliance with FAA safety standards, improving safety for aircraft landing at the airport, as well as for nearby residents and businesses. The Santa Monica Airport Association, however, disputes that there are current safety issues with the airport and accuses the city of lying. They said that the runway is in complete compliance with FAA runway regulations, period. After the break, Army Black Hawk helicopter struck by drone.
The Bristol Light Sport aircraft is what you are looking for. The Bristol is wider than a Cirrus, faster than a Skyhawk, offers more storage than a Husky, and comes standard with Garmin avionics. So what are you waiting for? Visit Bristol.com to find out how you can get into a Bristol today.
Concorde's recombinant gas RG series sealed battery technology produces a high-performance battery with the advantages of being pre-tested and fully charged at the factory. Find out more about Concorde's entire line of batteries at www.concordebattery.com. Concorde, the heart of your aircraft.
Welcome back. A U.S. Army UH60 Black Hawk helicopter was hit by a drone flying at an altitude of about 500 feet on Friday over a residential neighborhood on Staten Island, according to the U.S. Army. The incident occurred over Midland Beach at about 8:15 p.m. The aircraft is attached to the 82nd Airborne in Fort Bragg. It and other aircraft were in New York for the United Nations General Assembly meeting last week. Army Lieutenant Colonel Joe Bacino, the spokesman for the 82nd Airborne, said that the aircraft was not targeted. It struck on the left side of the fuselage. There were no adverse impacts to the flight, he said. One blade was damaged and dented in 2 spots and requires replacement, and there is a dented window. Bacino added, "Our paratroopers from the 82nd are the best trained, and they were able to act very quickly and very appropriately." The aircraft landed safely at Linden Airport in New Jersey, where parts of the drone were discovered lodged in the Blackhawk. The incident is under investigation, but authorities have not identified the operator of the drone. With some 3,000 Aero-TV programs webcast to cyberspace, sometimes it can be fun to look back and enjoy some of the places we've seen, the flyers we've met, and the planes we've flown. Here's a look at one of our favorite Aero-TV classic episodes.
I've flown planes, I've done RC cars and everything, but the thing that really stuck with me about these was the aerial capabilities of them and the simplicity. You only have 4 moving parts on them.
While A&M CEO and Editor-in-Chief Jim Campbell was hanging around eFest 2015, he ran into a gentleman that was simply known as Quad Guy, and he can be likened to a Marvel Comics superhero. A superhero, at least, as it relates to flying quadcopters. Search Aero Ingenuity, One Man's Quad-Rotor Odyssey on Aero-TV's news channel. After these messages, Betsy DeVos uses her own plane for government travel.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
In collaboration with NASC, introducing Sonix Aerospace, bringing you the Taros Group 4 UAS, the redesigned Tiger Shark Block 4, and the Subsonics Twin Jet UAS, all derived from flight-proven manned systems, not concepts, real aircraft. More at sonixaerospace.com.
Welcome back. With so much news coming out of the aviation industry, we're summarizing some other interesting stories in a brief segment we call Around the Patch. In light of recent government travel scrutiny, Education Secretary Betsy DeVos has revealed that she does not use government aircraft or commercial airliners. She travels on her own private plane at no cost to the U.S. taxpayers. DeVos spokeswoman Elizabeth Hill says that the secretary neither seeks nor accepts any reimbursement for her flights, nor for any additional official travel-related expenses, such as lodging and per diem, even though she is entitled to such reimbursement under government travel regulations. A pilot from Austin, Texas has been sentenced to 37 months in federal prison for an attempt to transport and distribute marijuana using his private plane. The pilot, Douglas Burnett, was sentenced Friday on charges of possession with intent to distribute between 50 and 100 kilograms of marijuana. Burnett was arrested March 20th at Lano Municipal Airport after 206 pounds of hydroponically grown marijuana and $5,400 were found in 15 duffel bags in his airplane. Several failures in close succession by a jetliner's flight crew were the probable cause of October 27, 2016 runway excursion at LaGuardia Airport, according to the NTSB. The chartered Boeing 737-700, carrying then vice presidential candidate Mike Pence and campaign staff, overran runway 22 during landing on the rainy evening. The airplane departed the runway and partially transited an arrestor bed of crushable concrete before coming to a stop off the runway. The FAA has pulled the operating certificate for Menominee Marionette Twin County Airport in Menominee, Michigan, after the airport failed a safety inspection. The airport is currently operating under a temporary authorization while the county determines how it will address the safety issues at the airport. Standard Aero has announced that Associated Air Center, the company's large transport category VIP completion center, will cease operations and close its Dallas Love Field facilities at the end of this year. After a thorough analysis, Standard Aero has concluded that the business case for continuing to operate AAC is no longer an economically viable option for the company and its investors. Well, that's it for today's trip around the patch. Now let's move on to the rest of the news. ALPA has expressed disappointment in the DOT decision to allow Norwegian Air UK to fly to and from the United States under the US-EU Air Transport Agreement, without knowing how the airline's crew will be employed or whether its business model will affect U.S. jobs. The Trump administration's decision to approve Norwegian Air UK's application to serve the United States is another blow to U.S. workers and does not deliver on all the talk about defending U.S. jobs against unfair foreign competition, said Captain Tim Cannell, ALPA's president. While the employment model of NAUK, which is a UK airline, is not clear, related Norwegian air companies are using pilots and flight attendants who work under Asian employment contracts to allegedly lower labor standards. While NAUK will operate under UK labor law, the DOT failed to ask NAUK to disclose the terms of employment that would apply to its flight crew members. Under the ATA, the U.S. DOT must evaluate whether granting the NAUK application would be consistent with public interest and with Article 17 bis, which states that the opportunities available under the agreement may not undermine labor standards. Well, that's our program for today. Remember that Airborne Unlimited is streamed daily Monday through Friday with additional breaking news bulletins for important stories that fall outside of our normal deadlines. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe and do check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Get comprehensive, real-time, 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. See you tomorrow.